Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. This is another episode of the Reporter Vlog News on on a on a Thursday, May 21st, 2026. Yeah, pretty heavyweight triple header today. Uh, two Trump new stories and one in the middle. Get back on Facebook and get them. There you go. We might as well get this episode out of the way while I still can. Shoot. Okay. First story. Trump notches GOP primary wins, but big midterm questions remain. Give me just a minute, just a minute. Still loading, still loading. Okay, Trump is brought to you by NBC News. Oh, I don't want the video. President, okay, I hope this ain't long. There you go. Oh, well, okay. This story, to give my credits, this story was published on May 19th, 2026 at 11:40 p.m. by Matt Dixon, Bridget Bowman, and Henry J. Gomez. President Donald Trump flexed the strength of his party, performed a political movement again Tuesday, continuing the successful process of eliminating political enemies within the GOP this month. At the same time, Trump's low approval ratings in the war with Iran has raised red flags with key Republican primaries among base voters. Who supported his America First agenda that included the idea of a that focused on domestic issues. Those red flags may persist with independent voters and base turnout, like when the general election gets away in a few months. But in the meantime, Trump continues to prove he can not only influence the Republican Party electorate, but also attack Republicans who have opposed him in any way without feeling there are significant negative consequences. I think that everyone can take away from this that Donald Trump is going nowhere. Said a Trump advisor working for his political operation. He has won all and will continue to win. Trump has this month defeated the Republican state senators in Indiana who opposed his push for mid-decade restricting over the weekend. His political machine also blocked Senator Bill Cassidy, who voted to convict him in his 2021 impeachment trial while advancing the primary in Louisiana, a state he has represented for two terms. Well, sometimes the article that speak for itself. Biggest and most exciting win for the White House, though, came Tuesday, defeating Republican Thomas Massey, the Kentucky Republican who opposed Trump on key issues, including the big beautiful bill, the tax spending plan, and on pushing for the release of files related to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Massey lost to Trump-backed Ed Galron, who got 54 of the GOP primary votes. For months, Trump and his allies have attacked Massey and they got their win Tuesday in their most expensive House primary in history in terms of ad spending. Thomas Massey is just the latest proof that being Democrats favored Republicans. Democrats favored Republican is not a badge of honor in our party. James Blair, a former Trump administration official who now runs Trump's political operation, told NBC News, "Goodbye, good luck with the cows." In an interview last month, Massey noted that except for Cassidy in the Senate, he was one of the few Republicans in Washington willing to cross Trump on principle and policy, even as he also usually voted with him on most issues. As he added that the results of his race would determine how many more might follow his lead. There's always there can always be this cascading effect. Massey said it's a big herd. A herd moves as a herd right. As a herd, right. Massey's loss was met with disappointment in other corners of the GOP. What happened tonight is sad, to be honest, said the veteran Republican strategist who has worked with both the Liberty and MAGA movements and was granted anonymity to speak candidly about the Trump fueled intra party clash. This was a revenge tour on a solid conservative vote who refused to break the wheel of Trump. The person said Thomas Massey refused to be compromised. He refused to bend the knee, and for that he was taken out. Trump, however, did not outright win everything he touched Tuesday night. In Georgia, nationally watched race for governor. Trump backed Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, who also has major GOP establishment backing in the state, moved on a runoff against billionaire Rick Jackson, who has framed himself as a Trump ally. Jackson has spent more than $80 million of his own fortune on TV ads, many of which have tied him to Trump. But Trump has been clear that he does not support Jackson, who is now headed to a runoff. There's a lot of confusion. How everyone's saying I endorsed them. I didn't. I endorsed a man named Burt Jones, your lieutenant governor. Trump said this month. Vote for Burt Jones. He's just an incredible guy who has a complete and utter endorsement in the race. What's unclear, however, is how Trump's GOP primary dominance will play out in the midterm general election, with Republicans trying to hold on a slim House and Senate majorities. Democrats could take the House and are trying to challenge for the Senate, even if that is considered a much more difficult endeavor. Some Senate Republicans think that what could be seen as a Trump win Tuesday ahead of yet another primary actually hurts Republican chances. The most notable example is Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, as of Tuesday. The Trump endorsed Senate candidate in his state. If he wins next week, week's primary runoff is expected, Paxson will enter the general election as a significant fundraising disadvantage against Democratic nominee James Terrorico. And he also comes with significant political baggage, including the 2023 impeachment by the GOP, the Ed State House. But his acquittal in the Senate. Then there is the fact that his wife filed for divorce on biblical grounds. Republicans feared that Paxson was the inferior candidate compared with Senator John Cornyn, and they believe the national GOP groups would now have to spend money in Texas that otherwise could have been used to boost Republican Senate candidates in other key states. You don't have to be a rocket science to figure out the pathway for Paxson is there, but it's more uphill. Senator Lindsey Graham, RSC, told reporters on Tuesday afternoon. Democrats need to get a net gain of 4 seats to flip the Senate. A tall order, but now increasingly seen a doable as seen as doable because of Trump's tanking approval ratings among independent voters. It exactly it excites Democrats about the prospects of flipping the chamber, while the Texas GOP has been embroiled in a bitter, costly intra-party war. It has fractured their base and left them drained of resources. Democratic enthusiasm has surged to its highest level in decades, as Maeve Coyle, spokeswoman for the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, James Rico, is building a campaign to win. And will send and Texans will send him to the U.S. Senate in November. She said. All right. Basically, this Trump getting back at people that wronged him in the first, are people that don't are not yes men. Pretty much sum up his story quick and fast. And basically, this Trump getting back at people that are not willing to be yes men for him. Well, getting back at people that pretty much had the great idea to impeach him. And that's what this is all about. I swear, you look at a guy that's pretty much very petty, and and uh, that's pretty much sums him up. He's so petty. He really is. So petty. Donald J. Yeah, it's all he cares about, though. It's all he cares about. All Republicans gotta operate from his brain. Boy, as a voter, you want you want that party to come save the day for the United States, where you pretty much got Republicans operating from one brain, Donald Trump's. That's why I saw both sides ain't really perfect, but man, the Republican side, oh man, how in the world can you still back this guy, knowing what he's pretty much all about? Knowing he's pretty much he did pretty much turned his back on his own motto, America First, because he does because he doesn't see. All he pretty much got to do is just see the pattern where it work out. See how much more help he's giving America than other nations. He done gone outside the nations, outside the states. They give help to them more than inside America. and you still want to be and you still want to be a fan of Donald Trump's, and you got people still out there that still want to be part of his party. You got people out there that still want to be his part of his fan base. uh, it's a cult, like they say, it's a cult. You can't do no wrong in some people's eyes. You can preach till you blue in the face. You still can't do no wrong. Despite them filling up on paying the arm and a leg for gas, you still can't do no wrong. They're willing to suffer. You know, people were out there willing to suffer at the gas pump because they were afraid to say something against Donald Trump. But it's some kind of story, though. It's some kind of revenge, man. All this because one guy named Thomas Massey, because Thomas Massey refused to bow the knee, like they say, and to say and be a honorary Donald Trump yes man. All this, all this calculation behind the scenes. And this was this was in the works anyway. Because you got Kentucky, pretty much a red state, and that's what Donald Trump's favorite color is. They gonna back him, and then whoever his candidate that Donald Trump backs, they gonna go along with him and vote Massey out. So he was pretty much it was pretty much game over from the beginning. Game over from the beginning. Well, let's move on. I got two more stories to do. Two more stories to do. Okay, to another heavyweight story. NWAA, you know what I'm saying, NAACP calls for black student athletes to boycott Southern schools amid redistricting black backlash. It's brought to you by NBC. Guess what? NBC Black. Uh, okay, let's get the story. Okay, it's brought to you by NBC News. Uh, with the publisher being Bracy Harris. This was published on May 19th as well, 2026 at 12:59 p.m. Updated May 19th as well, 2026 at 6:28 p.m. 6:28 p.m. Okay, the NAACP launched a campaign Tuesday calling on black student athletes to boycott Southern colleges in the wake of a Supreme Court decision last month that weakened the Voting Rights Act, leading to the dismantling of one majority dismantling of one majority of black congressional districts in a push to scrap others. The NAACP will not watch the same institutions that depend on black athletes' prowess to fill their stadiums and their bank accounts remain silent while their states strip black communities of their voice. The NAACP national president and CEO Derek Johnson said in a statement. Mm-hmm. Um, The group was urging black recruits to withhold their commitments from a list of universities, primarily in the NCAA Southeastern Conference. The schools are in the following states: Tennessee, Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, South Carolina, Texas, and Georgia. And as far as Kentucky ain't on there. I guess it did with the Deep South. Several of the schools have nationally ranked football programs, including the University of Alabama, the University of Texas, and Austin, and the University of Georgia, and the University of Mississippi. Alabama's campaign comes as voting rights advocates across generations uh, are grappling with what they see as the latest blow to one of the most seminal victories of the nation's civil rights movement. The Voting Rights Act was enacted in 1965 to protect minority voters who long faced discrimination in elections. Uh, Last month, in a 6-3 ruling, the Supreme Court held that using race to draw two majority black districts in Louisiana was unconstitutional and racial gerrymandering. Hmm. City is already having ripple effects throughout the South. Within days, the Tennessee legislature divided up in the state's sole majority black and Democratic held congressional district across the three Republican electoral districts. Representative Steve Cohen, a veteran Tennessee Democratic lawmaker, subsequently announced that he was no longer running for re-election in the newly redrawn Ninth Congressional District, saying that the new maps silenced the black vote here in Memphis. State senators in Louisiana have so passed legislation that would result in the loss of one of the state's two majority minority districts. Republicans have praised the Supreme Court ruling ahead of this year's midterms with the Calais decision, as it's known, has set off a wave of backlash in the southeast, where communities with histories of discrimination in the polls once had to seek pre-clearance from the federal government before they changed their voting laws. They created new electoral maps. Over the weekend, thousands gathered in Alabama to protest the decision in Montgomery and then at the historic Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. In the civil rights movement, universities in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia were the scenes of some of the fiercest and most violent resistance in interrogation, integration. Today, many of their athletic programs have diverse rosters. WACP has said fans and alumni of the targeted program should redirect their financial support to historically black colleges and universities or HBCUs. The organization has also encouraged recruits to visit those campuses. Monday in AACP's demands in the adoption of a state level voting rights acts. Reaction to the NAACP campaign was swift Tuesday. At the new conference held by the Congressional Black Caucus, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, DNY, mentioned the previous stances taken by iconic black sports figures like Jackie Robinson, Bill Russell, and Muhammad Ali. We will continue to stand with the NAACP and encouraging athletes in our communities to look elsewhere until these racially gerrymandered maps in the South are reversed, buried in the ground, never to rise again, Jeffrey said. During a panel at a conference in Washington, D.C., hosted by the Center of American Progress, a progressive think tank, MS Now host Simone Sanders asked Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia about the campaign and whether he believed administrators and even athletes in southern colleges and universities have an obligation to speak out other than about the Supreme Court decision. Warnock has praised the dominance of the University of Georgia's football team, which won back-to-back national champion titles in 2021 and 2022. I think we all have a role to play, and I think we all have a role to play, and committed to doing my part. He replied, "I love the country." He said he added, "I'm willing to take my chances and end at the end of the day with the people with democracy." And so you know, that's what I'm deeply committed to. South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson, a Republican who is running for governor, criticized the campaign on X. Student athletes should not be used by the NAACP for political gain because they disagree with the Supreme Court ruling. He wrote, "Yeah, that's wrong. And South Carolina will not be bullied into ignoring the Constitution." Before the campaign launched, people were already debating online about how much, if any, of the burden in responding to the state's redistricting efforts to fall on black athlete supporters, who are argued that any action that put universities' financial windfalls from athletics in jeopardy could be enough to move the needle. If athletes stop going to the Tennessee and the Louisiana Annas, and the top tier athletes, ESPN and the president of the school's chambers of commerce would start having conversations. Would start having conversations. Comedian D.L. Hughley said in a recent interview with the Tennessee Holler. Almost all the universities listed on by the NAACP are SEC schools. A spokesperson for the SEC then immediately responded to the request for comment. The conference has spoken up about racial justice issues in the past, and in 2020, Commissioner Greg Sankey warned that Mississippi, which has two conference member schools, was at risk of not being able to host championships if it didn't change its state flag, which included the Confederate battle emblem. Athletic and university leaders across the state also gathered at the Mississippi Capitol in support of the new flag, which legislators agreed to that summer. All right, quick and fast for the commentary with this. Basically, it needs to happen. It needs to happen because Because you expect they don't rearrange the maps, and you expect these guys to go out there and make money for you. On at the one hand, you rearrange the maps, drown out the black vote, but you expect these guys that play for these universities in the deep south, and I still can't believe Kentucky wasn't far on that list. You expect them to come out there uh, to play football and to make you money for another season. Y'all better get to marching or get to protesting. That's all I gotta say. True, because it's a joke. It's a joke. There's no fairness whatsoever. No fairness whatsoever. But like I said, this needs to happen. It really does. Because it's wrong. That's all altogether wrong. That the black athletes have to make Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi money while while they while they while the black votes is being square is being trying to be stopped. While there's black votes is trying to get is is being stopped due to that vote due to that Supreme Court ruling or the black vote. Yeah, Bill, Bill. This needs to happen. But as it, and then, well, if it start to happen, if this does happen, the SEC as we know it is in trouble. The SEC as we know it is in trouble because that's where one of the main regions where they gonna make all their money. You talking about losing money from TV deals, the merchandise. Shoot, yeah, the SEC's in trouble. If it's if this idea comes to pass, if this idea comes to pass. But on that note, let's keep it moving to the last story, which is a Trumper, another Trump story. Okay, Justice Department announces a 1.7 billion fund compensate Trump allies in a deal that drops the IRS suit. Hmm. Okay, this is brought to you by WLKY. Uh, with the editors being Fatima Hussein, Eric Tucker, and Alana Durkin and Richard. So it's pretty much Associated Press. His story was updated at 12:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, uh, and on May 18th, 2026. Okay, Washington. Trump administration on Monday announced the creation of a 1.7 billion fund to compensate allies of the Republican president who believed they were mistreated by the Biden administration's Justice Department. The anti-weaponization was announced by the Justice Department as part of a deal that resolved President Donald Trump's lawsuit against the Internal Revenue Service over the leak of his tax returns. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said in announcement announcing the fund in a statement that it was a lawful process for victims of lawfare and weaponization to be heard and seek redress. Democrats and government watchdogs immediately pledged the fight that they called a corrupt and unprecedented resolution, warning that the arrangement would unjustly enrich people close to the president with taxpayer dollars and open the door to murderous claims of political persecution. Trump's lawyers disclosed the dismissal of the case in a filing Monday in the federal court in Florida, where the president sued earlier this year. The fund would represent not only a highly unorthodox resolution, but also a further demonstration of the administration's eagerness to reward allies who, before Trump came to power, were investigated, in some cases charged and convicted. Most notably, the president, on his first day back in office, pardoned a commune the sentences of supporters who rioted at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. Let's repeat that again. On his first day back in office, pardoned and commuted the sentences of supporters who rioted at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. His Justice Department since then has approved payouts to supporters and entangled in the Trump Russia investigation and investigated and prosecuted some of his perceived adversaries. Whew. This case is nothing but a racket designed to take 1.7 billion of taxpayers' dollars out of the Treasury and pour it into a huge slush fund for Trump at DOJ. The handout to his private militia of insurrectionists, rioters, and white supremacists. Whew. Including those who brutally beat police officers on January 6, 2021. And sycophant accomplices to his election stealing schemes. Republican Jamie Raskin and top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee said in a statement. Trump's attorney suggested that their court filing seeking to dismiss the case, that the resolution would not be reviewable by a judge. But a group of 93 members of Congress filed a brief teeing up, up a challenge. It was not immediately clear who precisely would stand to benefit from the fund, but its creation reflects Trump's long-running claims that the Justice Department during the Biden administration was weaponized against him. He has cited as proof of the since dismissed criminal charges he faced between his first and second terms of conspiring to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. He lost in retaining classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. Several aides of his were also prosecuted, as were hundreds of Trump supporters who stormed the U.S. Capitol in an effort to halt the certification of election results on January 6, 2021. Merrick Garland, who served as Attorney General during the Biden administration, has repeatedly denied allegations of politicalization. He has said in his decision, followed facts the evidence in the law. His Justice Department also investigated Biden for his handling of the classified information. It brought separate tax and gun prosecutions against Biden's son Hunter. Nonetheless, Trump's current Justice Department has actively pursued the president of retribution campaign and grievances, bringing criminal charges against some of his political opponents, initiating a wide-ranging investigation that aims to establish a years-long conspiracy between law enforcement and intelligence officials to destroy Trump's political prospects to keep him from power. No charges have been brought in that investigation. It is not clear that any ever will be. Trump's lawsuit followed the leak of tax returns. Trump filed a lawsuit earlier this year in Florida's federal court, aligning that a previous leak of his in the Trump organization confidential tax records caused reputational and financial harm. Public embarrassment unfairly tarnished this business reputations, betrayed them in a false light, negatively affected President Trump and the other plaintiffs' public standing. President sons Donald Jr. and Eric Trump are also named plaintiffs in the suit. In 2024, former IRS contractor Charles Edward Littlejohn, who worked for the Booz Allen Hamilton, a defense and national security tech firm, was sentenced to 5 years in prison for pleading guilty to leaking tax information about Trump and others who two news outlets between 2018 and 2020. Others were not named in the charging documents, but the description and time frame aligned with the stories about Trump's tax returns in the New York Times reporting about wealthy American tax and profit nonprofit investigative journalism organization ProPublica. Publica. Hey there, Albert. Hey there. In 2020, New York Times report found Trump paid $750 in federal income tax the year he first entered the White House, and no income tax at all in some years, thanks to reported colossal losses. In the first sign that a settlement was incoming, lawyers for the president asked a federal judge last month to pause the case for 90 days while the two sides work to reach the settlement or a resolution. This limited pause will neither prejudice the parties nor delay ultimate resolution. Filing in April said rather the extension will promote judicial economy and allow parties to explore avenues that could narrow or resolve the issues efficiently. When asked in February how he would handle any potential damages from the case, Trump said, "I think what we'll do is do something for charity." We could have a substantial amount, he said, at the time. Nobody would care because it's going to the go to a numerous very good charities. Mm. Okay. A group of lawyers wrote to the court of this month expressing concerns about whether the Justice Department was properly insinuated, uh, insulated from the president's control of the case. Additionally, several ethic watchdogs groups have filed friend of the court briefs challenging the president's lawsuit. Sky Perryman, president and CEO of Democracy Forward, and advocacy group that filed an earlier brief, said in response. Uh, okay. Okay, where we at? Where we at? Where we at? Oh man, we gonna get it done. We gonna get it done. He's always a Scott Perryman, president and CEO of Democracy Forward and advocacy group that had filed an earlier brief, said in response to the dismissal, this case was always a sham and another ploy by the president to access taxpayers' funds to line his pockets. Perryman vowed that her group would continue to fight the settlement. Continue to fight the settlement. So the ended. This is Donald Trump taking your tax money. I repeat, your tax money, and trying to put in his tax money in his slush fund to keep the IRS off of him and his family. So basically, you know, you're on your own as far as deal with the tax man, but my family is safe. Pretty much just keeping his family safe while the people he said people he claims uh, the fight for are out there doing having to do what he's trying to hide himself, keep himself from doing. Uh, I just put it like this: he just looking for out for his own. Looking out for him and his own, but mostly him. Shoot, I swear, you can see it in this chapter of Donald Trump's presidency that he is all about himself, which is nothing new, and he is going to cover up for it. There's people that are loyal to him because that's what it's all about. It's never about a friendship, never about a relationship. It's all about loyalty with Donald Trump. You know, and these people, you know, pretty much these people that wearing them hats, they just they are still under the spell. They really are, and they think he's out for them, but he's not. He's out to cover up his own tracks. He's out to take like I said, he out to take your tax money and yeah, so your tax money, MAGA fans, and put it in his pocket. That's what he's out to do. That's what the name of the game been from day one. He wants your tax money that you earned because you ain't rich like him. He wants that money that you earned. Uh, that you that the government is pretty much safe. I just feel like he wants that money that you earned, uh, and he wants it in his pocket. He wants to use that money to save his own loyalists, right? Save his own people that've been loyal to him. His own the patriots. That's what it is. He wants that money to say to pardon, so to speak, the patriots, people that are loyal to him. And that's crazy how he's going to end up pardoning them people that attacked the Capitol on January 6th, and he's thinking about giving them some money on top of that to compensate for the so-called hurt that the Biden administration put on them. The so-called hurt that the Biden administration put on them. I swear, it's like this guy's from another planet, where he just don't care to know that every action has a consequence. That you can't do what you want to do. And that's what it's all about. He doesn't understand that. He doesn't care to understand that you can't bash windows out of a Capitol building and get off. You can't assault the police officers and get off and get money for it. Man, who ever heard doing something like that? Creating a slush fund with the so-called victims that had to go do what go do the trauma during the Biden administration. Had to put up with any consequences during the Biden administration for doing wrong. You can tell the way this guy was raised. He never had to deal with any consequences. That's what it pretty much sums him up. He never had to deal with any consequences when he was younger, because there is consequences for doing wrong. It would forever be consequences for doing wrong, and your name is not going to be able to save you from them consequences from doing wrong. Man, I would never understand the following. Man, you pretty much following a guy that the only thing he has done was produced a catchphrase on that reality series, and it had a couple of cameos or a cameo on Home Alone. That's all you doing. It's all his fan base is doing. It's following a guy that seems like he's something. Man, it's a sickness. Really, it's a sickness. Let me go on out for it. I don't ran my mouth enough. Got these 3 stories in, so it's all good for the reporter vlog for a while. But you have a good one. Miracle he does need prayer. But yeah, y'all have a good one. I'm gone.